The story starts around Chapter 2. The gang are holed up at Horseshoe Overlook, and everyone is happy after finally getting off the mountains. One night, the gang was celebrating Sean's return. Arthur looks up at the stars and he sees a mysterious object falling from the sky. Arthur thought this was just a falling star, but it was a strange one. Everyone saw it and were curious about what it was. Then they saw that the thing fell right outside of Horseshoe Overlook. Everyone was shocked, but they were curious, so they went outside to check that thing out. They saw a strange thing they couldn't describe what it was. That strange thing had some boxes inside it, and even after falling from the sky, the boxes were intact. Arthur looked closely, and something was written on one of the boxes. Military equipment. They understood that it was some kind of equipment, but why did it just fall from the sky? Arthur saw the date written, and it blew his mind. The date written was 2013. Arthur calls everybody and they see the date too, and everyone was shocked. They were all curious and wanted to see what was inside. They knew it was from the future, as it also looked otherworldly. Despite their efforts, they just couldn't open the boxes. There were 10 boxes in total. They blew it up with dynamite. Nothing happened. The box was still intact. They just couldn't open it. Arthur sees a bunch of numbers and some light. Arthur presses it, and the thing makes some noise. Arthur was struck off guard. He just couldn't understand what the hell was happening. Bill was still blowing the crates with dynamite, but as usual, he was failing. Dutch tells the gang to go back, and they will come back in the morning. The gang does so, and they return in the morning. The gang searches for some clues around the wreckage, and they see a destroyed book which contains some combination of numbers. The numbers were barely visible, but as Arthur applies it on the first crate, it opens, and they see some kind of machine. Arthur takes it out, and apparently it's a rifle. Arthur shoots, and it fires like a machine gun. All of them were shocked. They opened various crates and found various weapons, all different, and they also find loads of bullets. Of course, they don't know how to use them, but eventually they adapt. After some time, they even master it. The next day, they plan a robbery using this equipment. Arthur, Dutch, John, Bill, and Micah go into the St. Denis Bank, and they attempt the robbery. Arthur and Dutch collect all the money, and all of them were leaving, but then they were surrounded by the Pinkertons. Bill comes outside like no one ever saw before. Before anyone could react, Bill fires, and it launches a rocket which straight up blasts half of the Pinkertons. The remaining lawmen and Pinkertons were shocked, and they all run for their lives. Finally, Bill did something useful with an explosive, Arthur says. Anyways, they go back to the camp with the money, and they finally had enough money. They celebrate that day as they finally got rich. Dutch and the gang had enough money. They could leave the USA altogether and finally go away from all this civilization. Micah tells Dutch to get the Blackwater money by using these weapons, but Dutch declines it as they had more than enough money. Some time passes, and they find a captain, and they all leave to Tahiti or Australia. Finally, they got away, but they find themselves in a storm. The ship just sinks, and they all have to escape on smaller boats. They all reach an island, but they were all held captive. Some guys rescued them, and apparently they were on Guarma. Now this chapter goes on the same, but with the entire gang together. Arthur was noticing something. Day by day, he was getting weaker, but he ignored it. The gang fought in the war, and they defeated Fusar. After some months, the gang finally returns to America, and they find themselves a new camp, and they start over, as they lost all money and weapons in the sea. Time passes, and Arthur's health was getting worse. Dutch was getting crazier day by day, and Micah started to act differently than before. Too different. Arthur finds out he has TB, and he does not have much time left to live. Dutch suspects that there is some rat in the gang. He thinks this could be a possibility, and his primary suspect was John, as Micah was also saying this to Dutch. They plan more robberies, but they keep getting ambushed by the Pinkertons. Even the Pinkertons know that the gang has lost all the weapons they had before, so they strike them harder than before. Everything was a mess, and finally the day comes. Dutch has had enough of John, so he points his gun at John, accusing him of being the rat, and the gang splits just like that. Arthur backs John up and tells Dutch he's talking crazy, and Dutch also accuses Arthur of betraying him. Hosea tells Dutch to calm down, but Dutch was like a completely different man. He wasn't even listening to Hosea. Hosea also knew he can't make Dutch see reason anymore, so the gang finally splits. Arthur, John, Hosea, Sean, Kieran, Lenny, Charles, and Sadie against Dutch, Bill, Micah, and Javier. Micah knew if they attacked them, they would all die, as Arthur had more members on his side, so they just leave. Arthur asks Hosea what now. Hosea tries to call Dutch, but Dutch just leaves with Micah, Bill, and Javier. The gang holds up somewhere for some time, and Arthur's health was getting worse, but the members were backing him up and helping him. They all were really concerned for Arthur. Micah still tells Dutch to ambush the camp and kill everyone and take revenge. Dutch denies it again and again, but one day he agrees, and they make a plan to kill every last one of them. This was the insanity Dutch reached. One night, Dutch, Micah, Bill, and Javier ambush the camp and catch them off guard. Kieran was patrolling and he saw Micah approaching, but before he could do anything, Micah kills him silently and they move into the camp. Bill and the others move in. First, Micah kills Lenny, then Sean. John wakes up shocked. He takes his revolver and points it directly at Micah. John shouts and everyone wakes up. Arthur sees Lenny's and Sean's dead bodies, and he was enraged and sad. The gang has a standoff, and all of them want to kill Micah and the others. But then they see a plane falling from the sky like before. They all see it, but unlike before, the plane lands directly on the camp, and all of them fall unconscious. Arthur wakes up and he doesn't remember a thing. He sees he's in the middle of nowhere, but the place looks strange. Arthur walks and he sees a strange building. Arthur goes inside, and the man inside was shocked seeing Arthur. Arthur looks at his surroundings and he knew he wasn't in his time. He asks the shopkeeper what year it is, and the shopkeeper responds, "It's 2013. Arthur robs some clothes and he goes to find his other gang members. Michael was watching the news, and on the news they were saying that a military cargo disappeared in the clouds. All of the world was shocked hearing this news, as it was the biggest mystery yet. Where did the plane go exactly? Arthur reaches a mountaintop and he sees a futuristic city, Los Santos. He goes there to find his gang members. In the next part, the gang tries to survive in Los Santos and they try to settle the score in this new era. The story starts right after where we left off in the previous video. Arthur knows he time traveled, and now he is searching for his gang members. Arthur was catching too much attention due to his attire, so he goes to a store and robs some cash and clothes to fit in this time. He also gets a gun, as he knew how to use it, and it didn't create much of a problem. Arthur sees big skyscrapers around him, and he was mesmerized. It all looked otherworldly to him. Arthur was still thinking about how they traveled to this timeline. He was asking himself, did he come here alone, or did the entire gang time travel here? Franklin was reading a book named Red Dead by J. Marston, which is Franklin's favorite book. He had read it countless times. He looked up online about the author, but the author, Jack Marston, passed away in the 1990s, and apparently this story was real. Meanwhile, John wakes up and finds himself on the top of a building. John looks for a door and goes down. Everyone was staring at him, and one dude came up to him and said, "Nice cosplay." John didn't know what this guy said, so he just moved on. John robs some clothes and cash to avoid attention. John looks for his family members. He doesn't even know if they came here or if he was alone here. This uncertainty really scared him, but nonetheless, he still searches for his family. One night, Franklin was chilling when he receives a message from an unknown number. The message was strange. It said, "The Van der Linde gang is here, go and help them," and it had some coordinates. Franklin was shocked. He even called the number but was shocked again as he heard that this number doesn't exist in the first place. Franklin ignores the message, but the messenger messages him again. This time, the guy sent Franklin his personal details. Franklin was shocked, so he goes to those coordinates, but he takes Michael and Trevor with him just in case. They reach an old abandoned house. They enter, and it was dark, but then they realize some guy was standing behind them, pointing his gun. The guy was Arthur, who asked them what they want. Michael and Trevor were about to shoot, but Franklin stops them. Franklin asks Arthur if he knows the Van der Linde gang. Arthur asks them how they know about this. Franklin was shocked when he realized that the man standing here was Arthur Morgan from the book. Franklin asks Arthur how he got here, and Arthur tells them his story of how he ended up here. Franklin wanted to help Arthur, so Franklin, Michael, and Trevor with Lester's search for the gang. Franklin still wonders who sent the message. Michael notices Arthur isn't looking well, so he asks what happened to him. Arthur says he got TB and he will die after some time. Michael takes Arthur to a doctor, and after some time, Arthur pulls through and heals. Arthur was feeling healthy again, and he was thankful. For some months, they couldn't find the gang members, but Franklin teaches Arthur everything about this time, and eventually Arthur learns everything. He learns how to ride a bike, how to drive a car, everything. After some months, they find every single member, but they couldn't find Dutch and Micah. Arthur regroups with everyone, and they make their next plan. Arthur teaches the gang how to blend into this timeline. Javier and Bill were sorry that they took Micah's side, and Arthur forgives them as they were just following Dutch. After some time, the gang really blended into this timeline, and they were quite comfortable here. Arthur also takes Hosea to a doctor, and Hosea was also healed, making him healthy too. Arthur asks Franklin how to make money, and Franklin lets Arthur and his gang join a heist they will do next. They did the heist, and it was huge. Everyone gets $1 million. Arthur buys a house, and the gang lives there for the time being. And now the gang was really settling in this time. Time passes, and they were thankful that they ended here, and everything got fine. Life became so easy for them. Arthur sees Franklin reading a book, and he asks what it is. Franklin tells Arthur it's the Vanderlinde gang story. Arthur, curious, reads the story, and was shocked to read the gang's fate in the book. He realized that if they didn't travel to this timeline, this would have been the fate of everyone. Lester is still searching for Dutch and Micah, but he couldn't track them. Time passes by, and whatever heist Michael, Trevor, and Franklin do next, they include the gang, which lends them great help, and they manage to pull off some insane heists, and they got rich. The gang splits, and they all go their separate ways to see what life has got for them. Mary Beth becomes a writer, as she always wanted. Pearson opens a shop, and all other gang members find something to do and do it as a profession. Arthur had enough money, so he retires with Hosea and John. One day, Lester tells them they found Micah, so Arthur and John go to the location. They find that Micah and Dutch were holding off someplace else, and as they knew how to use modern firearms, they survived. Arthur fights Micah and kills him. He still tells Dutch to come to his senses, but Dutch is still talking about his loyalty nonsense, so Arthur and John just leave him there. Finally, something has gone right for the gang. As time passes by, Arthur and John realize this city life isn't for them, so they build their own ranch and live there. John starts to take care of his family, and they finally leave the outlaw life behind. Arthur takes care of Hosea in his old age, and they still think about the fine times the gang had. One day, Arthur goes outside. He opens his phone, and he sees an unknown message. Look up. He sees up on the hill and sees a mysterious guy watching him. He receives another message. I'm watching you. He looks up again, but the man disappeared. All the what-ifs I'm making are set in different universes. Each story exists in its own separate universe. Anyways, if you like this what-if, consider subscribing and drop down in the comments what other what-ifs y'all want.